The struggle to pray, the struggle to study the word, the struggle to keep up with your child, the struggle to keep up with your body. It is a whole struggle, guys. Hi people. So in today's video, I'm going to be talking about the struggles of being a Christian mom, a Christian new mom. It is another level of struggle. Okay, you're going through the same struggle that every other new mom is going through, and then being a believer and wanting to keep up the faith. It is something, right? Okay, so I had my baby in about February. Not about February. I had my baby in February, and I was met with this rude awakening that, wow, my spiritual life took a whole turn. And I was okay, let me just get to the story, right? So first things first, my name is Fadekemi. If this is the first time that you're seeing this face, you're very welcome. Please hit that subscribe button. Subscribing is absolutely free. Also give this video a thumbs up. Yep. So the whole struggle actually started right from the labor room, right? I remember that while I was having contraction, I remember that while I have the contraction, I'll just start counting numbers like 1, 2, 3, 4, and then it will ease up. Then I'll be like, then I'll text my husband and just tell him that, okay, this is how the pain is evolving, and he'll just keep praying for me and praying for me. And I remember that a particular nurse just came and made me pray, counting numbers, and she was like, Mrs. Adiwe, which number are you counting now? You should be praying. And in my mind, I'm like, I should be praying, really? Maybe because I'm a believer, right? And maybe because of my knowledge of the word and everything, I didn't think praying emotional prayers at that point was necessary. I've prayed before I got into labor. And while I'm in labor, obviously, if you've seen my labor and delivery story, if you've not seen it, check it out here or here. Up here, sha. Yeah, while I was in the contraction mode, I was always saying, Jesus, I was just always saying, Jesus, you love me. Jesus, I know you love me. I know you love me. Because that was all I needed to tell myself. I knew better than to be praying emotional prayers. I was praying, I was saying the right things, making the right confessions. And so, but for me, counting those numbers was kind of like a coping mechanism in that, during that contraction. And this woman telling me I should be praying, I was like, what? Does she even understand like the pain that I'm feeling? And I remember that someone had also told me even before I had a baby that oh, during that labor, don't curse your husband though, you should be praying. And I was like, you should be telling my husband to pray, not telling me to pray. Fam, I'm going to be in labor, how can I be praying? Anyway, there's just this societal expectation of women, and I must say this, like, because of the way motherhood and the society is set up, it feels like when you say something bad about being a mom, people just want to finish you, like, oh, you don't know what you have, you should be thankful that God gave you this gift. A lot of women are seeking it. Yes, it's a blessing, and yes, I mean, it is a magic, like, I still think it's magic, is a miracle. Let me know it's magic, miracle, right? It marvels me all the time, right? But we must always acknowledge other people's pain. While I didn't have postpartum depression, baby blues, all of that, I acknowledge that a lot of women go through it, and a lot of women actually see their babies and they are not happy. Because you go through labor, some people go through labor 24 hours. It's not easy, let's be honest. And so we must always be kind to women when they share their struggle. So that's that about that. That is the journey of how this whole struggle started with my spiritual life and being a mom, comparing it. And I remember that when I now finally came home, it was like a shock. Like, I became so busy, taking care of myself, trying to recuperate the body system, having to eat. A lot of people are around telling you, oh, you should eat, oh, you should do this, oh, you should do that. And then the baby will cry. You have to breastfeed the baby, or at least feed the baby with formula, whatever it is you were doing, all of that. And in about 2 weeks, I realized I had not prayed. I had not studied the word. I'd done absolutely nothing spiritually. Because I'm a spiritual person, it was somehow like I tell myself that in 2 weeks I've not even done 1 hour prayer. I was like, what is going on? But I couldn't find the time to do it. But the thing is, I wasn't particularly overwhelmed. It was just me. It was just a wisdom problem. Like my DDK always says, you're not overwhelmed. You just have a wisdom problem, right? And so I remember what really opened my eyes was one day I was watching Bimi. I don't know if you guys follow her. Bimi, she just motherhood content, but she's also a believer. And she was a day in the life, a particular video shot, and she was saying that while she's breastfeeding her baby in the morning, that she always just goes through her devotional, read her Bible, and it was just a thing she said in the passing, and it was what stood out for me. It was what stood, like it stood so, it was like it just popped up in my head. Like it was in that moment that I woke up, right? And I was like, wow, Fadekemi, you've been sleeping. And I was just like, what? So all this while I was forming, oh, I didn't have time. While I'm feeding my baby, instead of replying to chats or just scrolling through Instagram, I could just be reading a devotional, right? And it was from that moment I said to tell God that, God, I really need to do better. I cannot be saying that because I'm a new mom I will not do other things. But obviously in this period I had my husband who was praying for me, and that's why it's important for you to have a partner that believes what you believe. Don't go like when people say, oh, is it really bad to date an unbeliever? I'm sorry, who's going to be praying for the home? Who's going to be covering the home? So and I had to tell myself that, Fadekemi, this is a wisdom problem. So in that period, when I wake up my baby wakes me up very early, and at 6 or so, I think my pastor was also doing these 6:30 a.m. prayers, or 6 a.m. prayers as at then. So I used to join in on Instagram and just pray along. And I started using that period to just study devotional, study the Bible, and before you know, I started coming up. And then when the lockdown started fully, I now started to there's this group I belong to where they decided to do a 6 hours prayer chain, and they said everybody must take 1 hour. So it was in that time, and I said, okay, I'm going to dedicate 1 hour. I'm going to do it. In the beginning it was like a chore. I was like, God, see my life, Fadekemi, is this you? But like I still kept on. I set alarm, and I said 1 hour is 1 hour. I will not stop until it's 1 hour. And when it's like 30 minutes, I'll be like, but no, I'll keep praying, and then before you know, 1 hour will be up. And then I kept up, and then that was when God really taught me some really great lessons about prayer, about how prayer is not always sweet. It is something that we show up for, knowing that we would get benefits at the end of the day. Prayer is not something that would always be nice, and it will not always be, oh, Jesus, crying, singing worship music. Sometimes it will be hard on your flesh, but your spirit will be grateful that you did it. And so all of this just really reshaped me. And I remember that when my baby's crying, I'll just carry my baby on my back, my hand, anything. I'll say, it is baby, if you cry, we will together, I will carry you and pray this prayer. This prayer, I must pray it. Now the thing about not praying, not studying the word was, in that minute when my mom now left and I was now like kind of alone, like my husband had to go to work and everything, in those moments I would just be having silly thoughts, and God had to tell me that it was because my mind was sort of idle, and so anything was just finding a place in my mind. And so that's why it's important. I know that it is tough for you as a new mom, but please try. Just start small. If it's 10 minutes prayer. By the way, this doesn't mean that throughout the timing when I wasn't praying, I wasn't saying, Father, thank you. I was doing all of that, okay? When I say I wasn't praying, I mean I wasn't doing like serious prayer. Like, you guys, because I'm a praying person before, it was tough for me. And that's why you have to be a praying person before you even start thinking of marriage. You have to understand your purpose in Christ. You have to know yourself in Christ, because things will happen. As a woman, things will happen. Motherhood, wife duties, all of this, it will kind of like shape you, and you have to have been a praying person, right? And so when these thoughts will come, I'll just attack it back with the word, because I knew the word inside of me. I was familiar with the word. I would just be attacking it back with the word, but I knew that it was coming from a place of not fellowshipping with the Father. And so yeah, those were my struggles. And the thing about that that video that Bimi made was, Bimi did not know that she has impacted someone, you know. And that's always my motto, like, just share it. People will say, oh, you're sharing too much, but you don't know who you are impacting. There are videos that I've watched here on YouTube that because I watched them, I started to do something differently. And that's the thing. And so just always share your part, do your part as the Lord leads you. And so that's why I'm sharing this video, because I know that this video is going to help certain, even if they don't comment below that, oh wow, this video helped me, I know that it's going to help people. That's just it. Because even that particular video, I didn't comment that, oh, this video really redirected me. No, I just watched it and something awoke in me. And so yes, if you're a new mom, you know, I'm just with you. I'm rooting for you. It's tough, I know, right? Your baby is still under 2 months, you know. It's still like, you are still so protective, like, oh, don't let my baby cry, oh, can you come? But like when your baby gets to 5 months and your baby is not a crier, regular crier, you're like, why are you crying? Oh yeah, come and eat. You carry the baby, feeding, then you'll be pressing your phone. You just, like, you ease into it eventually. But just give yourself space, give yourself, you know, you don't have to don't guilt trip yourself, because that was one thing I was also doing. I was guilt tripping myself. Like sometimes I'll be like, oh God, hey, sometimes I'll tell myself that I know God understand why I've not prayed, and then another minute I'll be like, hey, but does the devil understand? Yes, the devil does not understand, and I'm not excusing you not praying, but then also you must know that you are alive because God's grace is with you. So don't feel too down, but also don't become too lackadaisical, right? Also, I've also pointed that you should have a praying partner. Your partner will be covering you in the trying times. That's so important. It's actually very, very important. Man, when the virus now came, it now even kind of elevated everything, and I was just like, enough is enough. I'm not doing this anymore. I must pray. And so I intensified my prayer, like I said, deliberately doing 1 hour in tongues every day. And I am grateful that I'm better for it, right? We are better because we pray. And that's the beauty of being a believer. Okay guys, thank you so much for watching up until this moment. If you did, you are the real MVP. Remember to subscribe, like, and share, and I'll see you in my next video.